Ivy Chen stood in the center of the main hall of the brand-new five-story building on Hudson Street, the late afternoon sun pouring through the glass and casting a warm glow on her high-tied jet-black hair. She adjusted her navy blue blazer, took a deep breath, and tried to suppress the excitement buzzing in her chest. This was the first official headquarters of Verve and Vibe, the digital advertising agency she had poured sweat and sleepless nights into for the past 3 years. This building wasn't just an office, it was the embodiment of her dream, proof that even a tiny startup could carve out a space in New York's cutthroat media landscape. All right, everyone. Ivy turned to the 5 staff members behind her, her loyal team from back when meetings were held in cramped cafes. Today, we officially step into the big leagues. Thank you for believing in me. Applause erupted, full of joy and hope. Ivy smiled, but inside a small voice whispered, "Can I really compete with the giants out there?" She pushed the thought aside and focused on the victory of the moment. Until the glass doors of the lobby swung open. Cole Maddox strode in, wearing a sleek gray suit that hugged his tall frame, his dark brown hair neatly slicked back, and his piercing blue eyes cold enough to cut through steel. Trailing behind him was an assistant carrying a thick stack of documents. Ivy's heart skipped not from his appearance, but from the flood of memories from their Stanford days, when they were constantly pitted against each other. The economics beauty queen versus the media golden boy oil and water. "What are you doing here?" Ivy crossed her arms, voice frosty. "This is Verve and Vibe's headquarters." Cole smirked, and the kind of smile that was both arrogant and enigmatic. "What a coincidence, Chen. This is also the new HQ of Pulse Engine." He held up a file, the top sheet a property sale contract stamped with a bold red seal. "Signed yesterday, $12 million. This building's mine." Ivy froze, the floor beneath her seeming to tremble. "That's impossible. I signed the contract 3 weeks ago." She dug into her bag and pulled out her own paperwork, her voice trembling with fury. "Here, look. This building belongs to me." Their eyes locked, neither willing to back down. Cole's assistant, a young woman with round glasses, spoke up awkwardly. "Mr. Maddox, it seems there was a clerical error by the real estate agency. They sold the building to both parties without notifying either side." "An error?" Ivy let out a disbelieving laugh. "This is the most strategic building on Hudson, close to top agencies, excellent transit access, and suspiciously affordable. And I'm supposed to believe that Pulse Engine, a company that owns half of Manhattan, just happened to compete for the same mid-range building as my startup?" Cole shrugged, a spark of amusement flickering in his eyes. "Mid-range? Maybe for you. For me, it's an interesting investment." He emphasized the last word like a chess move Ivy hadn't seen coming. After an hour of heated phone arguments with the real estate firm, the brutal truth emerged. The duplicate contracts were real, and due to a system glitch, both parties had paid in full. Canceling the contracts was off the table. The agency now faced legal risks and proposed a temporary solution. Verve and Vibe and Pulse Engine would share the building for 6 months until the courts resolved the dispute. Worse, the penthouse on the top floor, the space Ivy had earmarked as a creative hub for her team, was also under joint ownership, which meant she and Cole would have to cohabit if either wanted to use it. "No way," Ivy snapped, standing in front of the elevator to the penthouse. "You have dozens of homes in Manhattan, San Francisco, probably the Maldives too. Why not just move somewhere else?" Cole leaned casually against the wall, hands in his pockets, his deep voice laced with challenge. "I do, but I like it here. This place..." He paused, eyes sweeping over her with a strange intensity. "Has someone to compete with." Ivy's eyes widened. "Compete? You're the CEO of Pulse Engine, a media AI giant with hundreds of employees and global branches. I have 5 people in a dream. What game are you playing, Maddox?" He didn't answer, just chuckled and stepped into the elevator. "Come on, Chen. We need to inspect our shared home." The penthouse was spacious, with massive glass windows offering a panoramic view of the New York skyline. The interior was sleek and modern, but there was only one master bedroom, a living room, and an open kitchen. Ivy looked around, trying not to show her awe. Verve and Vibe had never had the budget for a space like this, and now she had to share it with Cole Maddox, her old nemesis, her current rival, and the man who always made her feel like she wasn't quite enough. "We need rules," Ivy declared, planting herself in the center of the living room, hands on hips. "I get the left side of the apartment, you get the right. No one crosses the line." Cole raised an eyebrow, pulled a pen from his blazer, and drew an imaginary line across the floor. "Fine, but just so you know, I'm terrible at following rules." "Then learn," Ivy shot back sharply. But as she turned away, she caught his gaze less arrogant than usual, and something deeper beneath it, like he was seeing her from a distance, or from a memory. That night, Ivy stayed late at the downstairs office, reviewing materials for Project Horizon, a $20 million digital marketing deal Verve and Vibe was vying for. She knew Pulse Engine was also in the running. If she won, it could launch her company into the big leagues. If she lost, she didn't want to think about it. She opened her laptop and skimmed Pulse Engine's website. The numbers were daunting. 300 employees, branches in 5 cities, cutting-edge AI tech reshaping the media industry. Cole Maddox, smiling confidently on the homepage, looked like a king. Why is someone like him clinging to this building, Ivy wondered, a knot of unease forming. Is he setting a trap? What she didn't know was that up in the penthouse, Cole stood by the window, gazing down at the glowing city lights, a glass of whiskey in hand. In his mind, images of Ivy from college flickered, the girl who walked with a self-assurance that made him both admire and resent her. He had chosen to face her as a rival, just to be closer. And now, with the two of them forced under the same roof, he knew this game wouldn't be easy, but he had no intention of losing. "Welcome to the game, Ivy Chen," he murmured, taking a sip of whiskey, his eyes glinting. "You're watching soul stories where every tale whispers of love, healing, and hope. This story is a work of fiction, created to inspire, entertain, and share meaningful messages about the power of love and second chances. Don't forget to subscribe and be a part of our journey. For now, stay with us. The story is just beginning." Ivy Chen curled up in her swivel chair inside the small third-floor office, the glow from her laptop casting harsh light on her tense face. In front of her was the proposal for Project Horizon, a $20 million digital advertising contract from Nova Media that demanded a fusion of user data analytics and creative content. If Verve and Vibe landed it, they'd finally break into the league of major agencies. But their competition? Pulse Engine, Cole Maddox's tech titan, armed with cutting-edge AI and a staff of hundreds. Ivy gripped her pen tighter, feeling like she was staring up at an impenetrable wall. She closed her eyes and a memory from 7 years ago came rushing back. Stanford University, Economics Department. Ivy, always top of her class, was constantly compared to Cole Maddox, the golden boy of the communications department with a cocky smile and undeniable charisma. They once clashed so fiercely during an interdisciplinary project that a professor had to step in. Ivy remembered Cole's gaze back then, sharp, intense, but sometimes it seemed like he was holding something back, as if there was more he wanted to say, but never did. "Just your imagination," she told herself, shaking off the memory. He just wanted to win, same as now. A knock on the door snapped her back to the present. Lynn, Verve and Vibe's youngest designer, peeked in with a frown. "Boss, Pulse Engine took the big meeting room. They said they booked it first." Ivy gritted her teeth. "Booked it? Yesterday they took the best parking spot, and now the meeting room?" She stood, straightened her blazer, and narrowed her eyes. "Come on, Lynn. I'm not letting Cole Maddox turn this building into his personal playground." The large meeting room on the 4th floor shimmered with sunlight streaming through glass walls. Cole Maddox stood in the center, leading a team presentation on AI strategy. He wore a crisp white shirt with sleeves rolled up, exuding both power and ease. When Ivy pushed open the door, he turned around with that infuriating half smile that made her want to punch something. "Chen, early as usual. We've still got the room for another hour," Cole said smoothly, voice calm but edged with provocation. "Sorry, Maddox, but we need it now," Ivy replied, arms crossed. "My team needs to finalize our Horizon proposal before the weekend. You can't hog everything around here." Cole raised an eyebrow and stepped closer, close enough for her to catch a hint of sandalwood cologne. "Everything? I thought we split the building 50-50. Or do you want to split the coffee too?" He gestured to the corner where a Pulse Engine employee was using a brand new espresso machine, Ivy's espresso machine, ordered specifically for her team. Ivy inhaled sharply, reining in her temper. Fine, if you want to play games, let's play. But I don't lose easily. Cole tilted his head, his eyes gleaming like he was studying her. I know. That's why I'm here. His voice dipped slightly, loaded with something unspoken. Ivy's cheeks flushed, and she quickly turned away, dragging Lynn out with her. This man is impossible. That entire day, the Hudson building became a battleground of petty skirmishes. Ivy found Cole's car in her usual parking spot, with a note stuck to the windshield. Sorry, Chen. Better river view from here. She retaliated by slapping a Verve and Vibe sticker on the glass wall of Pulse Engine's office with the words, Welcome to my territory. By lunchtime, the entire building was buzzing about the CEO war unraveling before their eyes. But what confused Ivy was that Cole didn't seem like he wanted to win. When she reclaimed the meeting room that afternoon, he just shrugged and moved his team to a smaller one. When she demanded exclusive use of the coffee machine, he smiled and said, Be my guest, Chen, but I make better coffee anyway. That night in the penthouse, Ivy sat on the couch, scrolling through an email from Nova Media. The requirements for Project Horizon gave her a headache. A campaign merging behavioral data with emotionally resonant storytelling, Pulse Engine's specialty. She bit her lip, the pressure mounting. If she lost this, she could lose everything. But why was Cole still here, fighting her over every inch? The door opened. Cole entered, holding a steaming cup of coffee. He set it down on the table in front of her without a word and sat across from her, opening his laptop. Ivy eyed the cup suspiciously. This isn't poisoned, is it? Cole chuckled, the warm sound softening the air between them. Not poisoned, but you might get addicted. I made it. She took a sip and damn it, it was good. She glanced at him, looking for a smug grin, but he was focused on his screen, like she didn't even exist. But in a fleeting second, his eyes flicked toward her briefly, but just enough to make her heart skip. What are you really doing here, Maddox? Ivy asked suddenly, her tone sharp. Pulse Engine has a Manhattan HQ, offices in San Francisco, London. Why are you clinging to this building? To me? Cole looked up and his eyes hinted at something deeper. Maybe I like a challenge. And you, Chen, you're a challenge worth showing up for. He paused, the smirk fading. You're confident about Horizon, aren't you? Ivy smirked back, deciding to raise the stakes. Here's an offer. If I win Horizon, you leave this building. If you win, I'll move out. Cole leaned back, eyes sparkling like he just found a shiny new toy. Big bet, Chen. But if I lose, he leaned in, voice dropping low and teasing. I'll marry you. Ivy laughed, thinking it was a joke. Marry me? You've lost your mind, Maddox. But his eyes didn't laugh, and in that instant, a jolt ran down her spine. Was he serious? She stood, picked up the coffee cup, and turned away. You better prepare to lose, because I'm not going anywhere. But as she stepped into the bedroom and closed the door behind her, she couldn't shake the feeling that Cole Maddox was playing a game with rules she didn't fully understand. The networking event at the Ritz-Carlton gleamed under crystal chandeliers, the clinking of wine glasses blending with animated conversation. It was New York's annual media gathering, where startups like Verve and Vibe mingled with giants like Pulse Engine, all vying for the attention of major investors. Ivy Chen, in a sleek black dress that hugged her figure, navigated the crowd with a confident smile that barely masked her tension. The Horizon project was nearing its final bidding deadline, and she knew Nova Media, the contract sponsor, had representatives here. This was her chance to make an impression. But Ivy's confidence wavered the moment she spotted Cole Maddox just a few feet away, laughing with a circle of investors. He wore a dark blue suit and a loosely knotted cravat, somehow both relaxed and commanding. When his eyes met hers, he lifted his wine glass in a mock toast. Ivy shot him a glare, though she couldn't deny he stood out in the crowd like a king surveying his empire. Ivy Chen, right? A deep voice pulled her from her thoughts. It was Victor Tran, a well-known investor in the digital advertising world and rumored to hold major sway over Nova Media's decisions. I've heard Verve and Vibe is doing well, But going up against Pulse Engine isn't easy, is it? Ivy smiled, keeping her composure. We're small, but we're fast. And I believe creativity can beat technology no matter how advanced it is. Victor laughed heartily, clearly amused by her boldness. I like that spirit. Come on, let's have a drink to healthy competition. He signaled for a tray of cocktails, and before Ivy could decline, a martini was already in her hand. 3 martinis later, Ivy's head was spinning slightly. Victor, with a sly grin, had maneuvered Cole into the conversation. He kept tossing provocative questions at them, clearly enjoying the verbal sparring between 2 young CEOs. You're both going for Horizon, right? So, who's gonna win? Victor asked, eyes twinkling. Ivy, now tipsy, smirked. Me, of course. Verve and Vibe will show Nova Media that a small startup can still make big waves. Cole, his face flushed but eyes sharp as ever, leaned closer. Confident, aren't you, Chen? But don't forget, Pulse Engine has the data and the tech. You really think you can beat me? Ivy laughed, voice slurred ever so slightly. Beat you? I'm going to make you pack your bags and leave the Hudson building. And that little wager of yours, she pointed a finger at him, eyes glittering with challenge. You're not going to go through with it, are you? It was just a joke, right? Cole looked at her and something in his gaze shifted. The alcohol had stripped away the usual smirk, revealing something more focused, almost vulnerable. He stepped closer, his voice low and steady. If I lose Horizon, I'll marry you, Ivy Chen. The crowd around them seemed to fall silent. Ivy froze, her wine glass nearly slipping from her fingers. Victor clapped his hands and laughed. Brilliant. A fated promise. Someone get this on video. Before Ivy could react, someone had already pulled out their phone and started recording. Laughter and whispers rippled through the room, but Ivy could only hear Cole's voice echoing in her head. Mary? He's drunk. Right? She tried to laugh it off, to respond with something witty, but Cole's eyes stopped her cold. They weren't the eyes of a man joking. They were intense, sincere, like he'd been holding this in for a long time. Are you serious? Ivy asked, voice unsteady. Cole just gave a faint smile and turned away, leaving Ivy standing there with her heart pounding and a sense of confusion she couldn't shake. The next morning, Ivy woke up in the penthouse with a pounding headache. Blinding sunlight streamed through the window, making her wince. She stumbled into the living room to find Cole lounging on the sofa, a steaming cup of coffee in one hand and his phone in the other. He looked up, a glint of amusement in his eyes. Morning, future wife. Ivy blinked. What? She snatched the phone from his hand. On the screen was a viral post on X, already shared over 10,000 times. The title, Pulse Engine CEO promises to marry rival if he loses $1 million deal. Below it was a video clip. Cole, flushed but composed, looking directly at her and saying, If I lose Horizon, I'll marry you, Ivy Chen. Ivy in the video laughed like it was a joke, but Cole's eyes, no one could mistake them for anything but serious. No, this can't be real, Ivy murmured, the floor seemingly dropping beneath her. This is a nightmare. Cole shrugged, tone casual. Nightmare? I think it's pretty exciting. The startup world is going wild for us, Chen. Ivy dropped the phone onto the couch and clutched her head. You let this video go viral? Do you have any idea what this could do to Verve and Vibe? People will think I'm not serious, like I'm just part of some stupid PR stunt. Cole stood and walked toward her, voice softening. That's not how they see it. They see a young, fearless CEO challenging the biggest name in the game. As for the video, he paused, his eyes sweeping over her. I didn't post it, but I'm not denying it either. Ivy stared at him, her heart hammering. Why not? You could have said it was just a drunken joke. Why let it keep spreading? Cole gave a small smile, gentle, almost enigmatic. Because maybe I want to see where this goes. Then he turned and walked away, leaving Ivy standing there, completely rattled. She didn't know if Cole was playing a bigger game or if he was truly serious about that insane promise. But one thing was clear. The Hudson building, the Horizon deal, and her own heart had all been pulled into a storm she wasn't ready for. The third-floor office of Verve and Vibe was bathed in the dim glow of laptop screens, punctuated only by the rapid tapping of keys and Ivy Chen's quiet sighs. The wall clock read 2 a.m., but she was still at her desk, eyes bloodshot from lack of sleep as she fine-tuned every line of the Horizon proposal. The $20 million contract wasn't just an opportunity, it was everything. Winning Horizon would give her small company a seat at the table in the digital advertising industry, a realm currently dominated by giants like Pulse Engine. Losing could mean the end of her dream. Verve and Vibe's proposal focused on creativity, a campaign that used emotional storytelling drawn from real user experiences, supported by basic data analysis. But Ivy knew her weakness: data analytics. Cole Maddox's Pulse Engine had state-of-the-art AI that could process millions of data points to optimize campaigns. "How do I compete with that?" she muttered, rubbing her temples. The viral clip from the networking night was still trending on X, with rival CEOs holding strong for the third day in a row. The pressure of public scrutiny and the uncertain glances from her team made her feel like she was walking a tightrope. She leaned back, gazing through the glass wall into the dark hallway. The Hudson building was eerily silent except for the faint light glowing from the Pulse Engine office 1 floor above. That Maddox is probably working too, she thought, a surge of competitiveness rising in her. But alongside it, she couldn't shake the memory of that night, his promise to marry her, the intensity in his eyes, and the way he didn't deny the viral clip. What game is he playing? The next morning in the large meeting room, the preliminary round for the Horizon bid commenced. Helen Carter, a sharp-eyed, middle-aged woman representing Nova Media, sat across from both teams. Ivy presented first. Her voice was steady, though tension laced each word. Verve and Vibe believes that advertising doesn't just need data, it needs heart. We're proposing a campaign built on authentic, human moments that resonate emotionally. Helen nodded, jotting down notes, her expression unreadable. Then came Pulse Engine's turn. Cole took the floor, brimming with his usual confidence. He spoke about their proprietary AI technology and its precise ability to predict user behavior down to the percentage point. Ivy bit her lip, he was dominating the floor. But then, at the end of his presentation, Cole said something unexpected. "Data is the foundation, but creativity is the soul. Perhaps Verve and Vibe bring something to this that we don't." Ivy stared. Did he just compliment me? Or was it a ploy to throw her off? Helen smiled subtly, scribbled something on her notepad, and then announced that both teams were advancing to the final round. Ivy exhaled in relief. Her eyes flicked toward Cole, looking for any hint of his motive. He simply shrugged, like it meant nothing. That night, Ivy stayed late in the office, determined to perfect the final proposal. She was struggling with a new data analytics program when suddenly the screen flashed an error. "No, no, no," she groaned, slamming the keyboard. At that moment, the office door opened and in walked Cole, holding a USB drive. "Heard you were having data trouble?" he said casually. Ivy narrowed her eyes. "Who told you? And how did you even get in here?" Cole smirked. "The door wasn't locked, and Lynn may have mentioned your software crash when I asked how things were going." He plugged the USB into her laptop. "This is a Pulse Engine analysis tool. It'll process your data faster." Ivy blinked. "Why are you helping me? This is Horizon. We're competitors, Maddox." He shrugged and sat in the chair opposite her. "Let's just say I like a fair fight. You losing because of a glitch? That's no fun." He typed a few lines of code, and her screen lit up with clean, neatly organized graphs. She was impressed but wary. "What is this guy up to?" she thought. "Is he baiting me?" She studied his face for signs of mischief, but all she saw was focused determination. When he looked up, their eyes met, and for a heartbeat, the room seemed to still. Cole broke the gaze, stood up and said, "You're all set. Don't fall asleep at your desk, Chen." The night before the final pitch, Ivy worked until her body gave out. She fell asleep at her desk, head resting on a pile of papers. When she groggily woke at 4 a.m., a blazer had been draped over her shoulders, faint with the scent of sandalwood. Across the room, Cole sat quietly in the corner, laptop open, the screen casting a soft glow across his face. He didn't speak. He just watched her with an expression so gentle, it startled her. Ivy jolted up and pulled the jacket off. "What are you doing here?" Cole smiled softly. "You snore, Chen. I was worried you'd wake the whole building. He stood, walking toward the door. Get some rest. Horizon's not worth burning yourself out. Ivy watched his retreating figure, her heart pounding. She didn't understand why Cole was doing all this, fixing her software, covering her with his coat, looking at her like she was his whole world. Then the viral clip and his outrageous marriage promise flashed through her mind again, stirring suspicion. He's trying to throw me off, isn't he? The next morning, during the final bidding round, Ivy gave it her all. Her team's presentation was polished, the proposal complete thanks in part to Cole's tool. When it was Pulse Engine's turn, Cole delivered a strong presentation, but something was off. He skipped over some of the newest AI features Ivy knew his company had. He wasn't going all in. After Helen Carter left the room, Ivy pulled Cole aside. "What are you doing, Maddox? Why help me? Why present like you don't even want to win?" Cole looked at her, his eyes deep and conflicted. "Maybe I just want to see you shine, Chen." And with that, he turned and walked away before she could reply, leaving Ivy reeling with 1,000 unanswered questions. Inside her, a strange feeling stirred, caught between suspicion and a warmth she didn't want to acknowledge. Horizon wasn't just a contract anymore. It had become a war between her head and her heart. The Horizon Project's results ceremony was held in a grand hall at Nova Media, lit by dazzling stage lights and filled with polite handshakes between investors. Ivy Chen stood with the Verve and Vibe team, her heart pounding in her chest. She had poured everything into the proposal, countless sleepless nights, endless revisions, and though she hated to admit it, a boost from Cole Maddox's data tool. But now, as Helen Carter, the project director of Nova Media, stepped onto the stage, Ivy felt her entire world narrowing to this one moment. After thorough consideration, Helen announced, her voice ringing through the mic, "We have decided to award the $20 million Horizon contract to Verve and Vibe." Applause erupted, but Ivy could only hear the rush of blood in her ears. Lynn, her young designer, screamed and threw her arms around her. "Boss, we did it!" Ivy smiled, but her gaze instinctively drifted toward the Pulse Engine team. Cole Maddox stood with his hands in his pockets, face unreadable. But when their eyes met, she saw something there, not anger, not disappointment, but a strange tenderness. He gave her a small nod, then quietly walked out of the hall. A surge of conflicting emotions rose in her chest. Joy flooded through her, but Cole's expression left a hollow ache she couldn't explain. Why didn't he react, she wondered. Pulse Engine had just lost a major deal. How could he be so calm? News of Verve and Vibe's victory spread like wildfire. Posts on X exploded under the hashtag rival CEOs, with headlines like, "Tiny Startup Beats AI Giant," and "Cole Maddox Shocked by Ivy Chen's Win." Some users even dug up the clip from the networking event where Cole had declared he'd marry Ivy if he lost. Speculation mounted that Pulse Engine was slipping, or that Cole had underestimated his competition. But what was even stranger, Cole said nothing. No interviews, no statements, not a single response. Ivy sat in her small office, scrolling through the posts on X, feeling both proud and unsettled. This victory was everything she had dreamed of. So why couldn't she stop replaying the image of Cole leaving that stage? Why did she feel empty? Lynn walked in, glowing with pride but slightly nervous. "Boss, people are talking about that clip. Some potential clients are asking if we stage the drama with Pulse Engine for publicity. I'm worried they won't take us seriously." Ivy bit her lip, a heavy weight settling on her chest. "I'll handle it. Thanks, Lynn." She knew she needed to address it, but first she needed to face Cole. If he let her win, as she was starting to suspect, then this triumph meant nothing. That evening, Ivy returned to the penthouse where the imaginary boundary line they'd once drawn still split the space in two. She opened her laptop, checked her emails, and saw a new message from Cole Maddox. Subject, "Congratulations." The message was short, cold. "The building is still split. The penthouse too. I'm not moving out. See?" The Ivy reread it, irritation and confusion bubbling inside her. What the hell is he thinking? He lost Horizon. Why is he still acting like nothing happened? She slammed her laptop shut, marched across the hall, and knocked on Cole's bedroom door. No response. She pushed it open and found him standing by the window, gazing at the New York skyline, a glass of whiskey in hand. The city lights etched shadows across his sharp features. "What do you want, Maddox?" Ivy snapped. "I won Horizon. Our bet was that you'd leave. So why are you still here?" Cole turned slowly, his eyes dark and unreadable. "Congratulations, Chen. You earned it." His voice was calm, sincere. "But about the bet, I never said I'd honor it." Ivy crossed her arms, trying to keep her composure. "You lost. Pulse Engine just took a massive hit, and you're just what? Calmly sipping whiskey? Not angry? Not defending yourself? Or did you let me win?" The last words slipped out before she could stop them. She saw his shoulders tighten slightly. He took a slow sip of whiskey, then replied, "You think I threw a $20 million contract just to, what? Impress you?" Ivy flushed but held her ground. "I don't know, Maddox. You helped me with the software. You held back in the final pitch, and now you're acting like losing doesn't matter. Be honest, what game are you playing?" Cole looked at her, something unreadable flickering in his eyes, like a man caught between what he wanted to say and what he couldn't. "Maybe I just wanted to see you win, Chen." Her heart skipped. She wanted to scoff, to dismiss it as a joke, but the look in his eyes stopped her. It wasn't a game. It wasn't pride or pity. It was something deeper, something she couldn't define. Before she could respond, Cole turned, placing his whiskey glass down on the table. "Get some rest. You've worked hard." She stood there watching as he disappeared behind the door. His email, his silence, and that look in his eyes, all of it left her more confused than ever. Did he really let me win? And if so, why? Horizon was supposed to be her mountaintop, but now it felt more like a puzzle she couldn't solve. That night, Ivy lay in bed, city lights peeking through the blinds. She opened X again. Her feed overflowed with praise for verve and vibe, but also with biting comments. Maddox probably let her win. PR stunt or real talent? She turned off her phone, pride giving way to doubt. I won fair and square, didn't I? But deep down, she couldn't shake the image of Cole walking out of that hall. His eyes had said something his mouth never did, and his message, "I'm not moving out," felt like a quiet declaration that win or lose, Cole Maddox wasn't leaving her life anytime soon. And maybe, just maybe, he had already claimed a piece of her heart. Still following the story? If this story found you outside of Soul Stories, we invite you home to where every touching tale begins with truth, hope, and heart. Ivy Chen stepped into the penthouse late at night, the click of her heels echoing across the hardwood floor. She had just come from a team meeting at Verve and Vibe, where they celebrated the Horizon victory with cheap wine and giddy hugs. But her joy was dimmed by the storm still raging on X rumors that Cole Maddox had let her win continue to spiral. A potential client had even canceled a meeting, citing a preference to work with companies not chasing fame through drama. Ivy rubbed her temples, the weight of her biggest triumph overshadowed by one name, Cole Maddox. She paused at the doorway, catching an unfamiliar scent in the air-burnt wood, and lavender? On the dining table sat a small bundle of pale purple lavender, tied with a white silk ribbon, and a handwritten card beside it. Ivy frowned, stepped closer, and opened the card. Neat, slanted writing read, "Congratulations on the win, Chen. C." The lavender, the flower she used to keep in her bag during college exams to calm her nerves. She'd never told anyone about that, not even her closest friends. How did he know? Her heart thudded. A warm, disorienting feeling bloomed in her chest. She turned and saw Cole in the open kitchen, sleeves rolled up, fumbling with a smoking pan. "What are you doing, Maddox?" she asked, arms crossed, trying to sound stern. Cole turned with that familiar half-smile, smoke streaked across his face. "Cooking. Thought you deserved a celebratory dinner." He motioned to the pan, where something resembling beef was charring to a crisp. "But I may have gone a bit overboard." Ivy couldn't help but laugh. "A bit? You're about to burn down the penthouse?" She stepped in, took the pan off the heat, and opened a window to let the smoke escape. The air still reeked of burnt meat, but the lavender softened it. She looked back at Cole, suspicious. Why are you doing all this? The flowers, the dinner? You lost Horizon. According to our bet, you should be packing, not wrecking my kitchen. Cole wiped his hands on a towel, something flickering behind his eyes. I told you, Chen, I'm not moving out. He stepped closer, voice lowering. And about the bet, I meant what I said. If I lost Horizon, I'd marry you. Ivy froze, the glass in her hand nearly slipping. Wait, you're serious? She gave a nervous laugh, trying to deflect. Are you drunk again, Maddox? Or did losing Horizon drive you insane? But Cole didn't laugh. He looked directly into her eyes, gaze so steady it shrunk the room around them. I've never been more serious, Ivy. He paused as if weighing the next words carefully. Then softly but firmly, I liked you back at Stanford, but you were always out of reach like a mountaintop I couldn't climb. So I chose to stand across from you, just to be closer. Her breath caught. She remembered those moments in college, him always debating her in class, catching glimpses of him in the library, his gaze lingering like he wanted to say something but never did. She laughed again, this time more unsure. You're only saying this because you lost, trying to salvage your ego? Or is this just another one of your games? Cole tilted his head, that signature faint smile appearing, but it was softer, almost sad. You think I'd throw away a $20 million contract just to play a game? He took another step forward, close enough for her to smell the faint trace of sandalwood on his shirt. I fought for this building because of you. I stayed because of you. And Horizon, maybe I just wanted to watch you shine. Ivy stepped back, her heart pounding. His words washed over her like waves, unexpected and relentless. She thought about the analysis tool he gave her, the way he covered her with his jacket, and that brief message. I'm not moving out. It all made sense now. Pulse Engine wouldn't have fought over every inch of space unless there was something more behind it. But the idea that he let her win made her feel both moved and furious. You're telling the truth, aren't you? She asked, voice trembling. About all of it, Stanford, the building, Horizon? Cole nodded, eyes never leaving hers. I am, but I know you, Chen. You're not going to believe I like you just because I say it. He smiled again, this time with a mix of challenge and tenderness. So I'll stay until you believe me. Ivy didn't know what to say. She turned away, picked up the lavender bouquet, her fingers grazing the soft petals. I need time to think, she murmured, voice quieter than she wanted. And next time, don't burn the kitchen down. Cole chuckled, the sound warm and disarming. No promises, but I'll try. He turned back to clean the mess in the kitchen, leaving Ivy standing there, her heart a tangle of questions. That night, Ivy lay in bed, the lavender bouquet resting on the nightstand. She scrolled through X, seeing the usual buzz about Horizon. One post read, Did Cole Maddox throw the deal out of love? Or was it just PR? She shut off her phone, pride tangled with confusion. I won Horizon, fair and square, right? But deep inside, she couldn't shake the image of Cole at the window, the weight of his gaze, the truth in his voice. He liked me since Stanford? Really? She remembered how he always showed up library, cafe, panel discussions. She used to think it was rivalry, but now she wasn't so sure. If he did let her win, should she be angry or should she be touched? She didn't know. But one thing was clear, Cole Maddox wasn't leaving, and maybe, just maybe, she wasn't sure she wanted him to. Ivy Chen sat across from Ryan Patel, the marketing director of Spark Vibe, in an upscale Italian restaurant in the heart of Manhattan. Candlelight flickered between them, and the gentle strains of a violin filled the warm, polished air. But Ivy wore her professionalism like armor. She was here to discuss a potential partnership following Verve and Vibe's Horizon victory, an opportunity to expand her company's reach. Yet the weight of public scrutiny lingered. The hashtag rival CEOS was still trending on X, with constant speculation about whether Cole Maddox had let her win the $20 million deal. She gripped her wine glass tighter, willing herself to focus. You did exceptionally well with Horizon, Ivy, Ryan said, his tone friendly, but his eyes glinting with something more. A small startup beating Pulse Engine? I'm impressed. But I'm curious, is there any truth to the rumors about you and Maddox? Ivy smiled coolly, her eyes sharp. Everything online is drama, Ryan. Verve and Vibe won because our strategy was better. As for Maddox, she paused, thinking about the lavender bouquet, the burnt steak, his confession about Stanford that he stood across from her just to be closer. He's just a competitor. But even to her own ears, the words sounded hollow. Ryan leaned in slightly, lowering his voice with subtle suggestion. That's good to hear, because I think someone like you deserves more fitting partners. He reached across the table and lightly brushed her hand, an unmistakable move. Ivy immediately pulled her hand back, her smile unwavering but her voice firm. Thanks for the compliment, Ryan, but I'm here to talk partnerships, not partnerships. She emphasized the word with a pointed look. Ryan chuckled awkwardly and backed off. Just then, a shadow appeared beside their table. Ivy looked up and her heart jumped. Cole Maddox stood there in a dark gray suit, eyes cold as steel, but behind them, unmistakable jealousy simmered. Chen, he said, voice low, taut with tension. Didn't expect this place for a business meeting. Ryan raised an eyebrow, recognizing him. Maddox, long time. Care to join us? Cole didn't even glance at Ryan. His gaze remained locked on Ivy, like the rest of the room had vanished. No thanks, he said coolly. Just came for a glass of wine, but... His eyes flicked to Ivy's still full glass. Be careful with late-night meetings, Chen. Not everyone keeps their promises. Ivy narrowed her eyes, fury rising. Thanks for the advice, Maddox, but I know what I'm doing. She stressed each word like a challenge. Cole's smirk curled faintly before he turned and walked toward the bar. Ryan murmured under his breath, tense. Doesn't seem like Maddox likes me much. Back at the Hudson building, Ivy stepped into the elevator, her mind spinning. The meeting with Ryan had ended with a tentative agreement, but Cole's jealous stare had lingered far longer in her thoughts than it should have. Who does he think he is, barging in like that? She fumed, punching the button for the penthouse. Just before the door shut, Cole stepped in. The small space instantly felt suffocating. They stood in silence, the hum of the elevator the only sound. Ivy folded her arms, staring straight ahead, doing everything to ignore the presence beside her, but she felt him anyway. The scent of his sandalwood cologne, the steady breath, the weight of his gaze. Suddenly, the elevator jolted. Lights flickered. Then it stopped. A soft, metallic groan echoed, and silence swallowed them whole. Perfect, Ivy muttered, jabbing the emergency button. No response. She turned toward Cole, voice sharp and controlled. If this is one of your games, Maddox, it's not funny. Cole leaned against the wall, raising an eyebrow with a spark of amusement. You really think I have time to sabotage an elevator, Chen? Then his tone dipped, warm and low. But I'll admit being stuck here with you isn't the worst outcome. Ivy scoffed, pulse quickening. Don't change the subject. Why did you show up at the restaurant? Why look at me like I'd betrayed you? She stepped closer, eyes locked onto his, her voice rising. You say you've liked me since Stanford. You claim you fought over the building because of me, but then you act like I belong to you. Do you really expect me to believe all of this just because of a bouquet and a few sweet words? Cole's expression darkened, as if her words had struck something deep. He stepped forward, narrowing the distance. One arm rested lightly on the wall beside her, caging her in without touching her. I don't think you belong to anyone, Ivy, he said, voice low and steady. But when I saw you with that guy, I couldn't take it. You want to call it jealousy? Fine, but don't pretend you didn't feel something when I stood there. Ivy's breath caught. His voice, his nearness, he was aflame, licking at every barrier she'd built. You're not being fair, Maddox, she whispered, voice trembling. You say these things, do these things, and expect me to trust you. After everything Horizon, the building, that insane promise? Cole moved closer, his face just inches from hers. His eyes searched hers, stormy and raw. You don't have to believe me, Ivy, he murmured, but you feel this. Right now, in this moment, you feel it. Ivy opened her mouth to deny it, but her heartbeat was thunder, her mind a blur. And then Cole kissed her. It was fierce, desperate, like something he'd held back for far too long. Ivy stood frozen, brain blank, but her body betrayed her. Her hands clutched at his shirt, drawing him closer. The kiss deepened, swallowed them whole. When he finally pulled back, both of them were breathless. His voice was rough when he whispered, "You can say no, Ivy, but don't lie to your heart." She stood there, lips still trembling, eyes locked on him. She wanted to shove him away, to reclaim her logic, but that kiss had shattered everything. You shouldn't have done that," she murmured, her voice barely audible. Cole gave her a sad smile. "I know, but I'm not sorry I did." The elevator whirred back to life, the lights returning as the doors slid open to the penthouse floor. Without another word, Cole stepped out, leaving Ivy behind, heart racing, walls in ruins. That night, Ivy sat alone on the sofa, the lavender bouquet on the table in front of her. She stared at it, remembering the kiss, the fire in Cole's eyes, the pain in his voice. He was jealous, really jealous. She opened X and saw a fresh post. Cole Maddox crashes Ivy Chen's dinner with a new partner. Rival CEOs still going strong. She shut off her phone, feeling like she was caught in the eye of a storm. The kiss, his jealousy, his whispered words, they all haunted her. And no matter how fiercely her mind resisted, Ivy could no longer deny it. Her heart was beginning to sway. You're watching Soul Stories exclusive to our channel. If you're still with us, drop a comment we read and cherish them all. Subscribe to support more heartfelt original stories. Thanks for being part of the Soul Stories family. Ivy Chen stepped into Pulse Engine's fourth-floor office, her heart pounding. She hadn't planned on coming here, not after the kiss in the elevator, not after Cole Maddox's whispered words that had left her reeling. But Lynn Verve, and Vibe's designer, had forgotten a packet of documents in the shared conference room, and the printer on the third floor was out of order. Ivy didn't want to see Cole, but she had no choice. The office was quiet, lit only by desk lamps and the soft hum of machines. She made her way to the printer, grabbed Lynn's documents, then paused. A single sheet slipped out and floated to the floor. It was a proposal for Horizon. The Pulse Engine logo was printed in sharp ink at the corner. Ivy's hand trembled as she picked it up. She flipped through the pages, her breath catching. It was detailed, brilliant, frighteningly precise. Data analysis more advanced than anything she had seen, AI-driven user behavior models, and a communications plan that would stun any investor. With this proposal, Pulse Engine would have won Horizon, but it had never been submitted. Her fingertips brushed the paper's edge, heart racing. She remembered Cole's confession in the penthouse about Stanford, about standing opposite her just to be closer. She remembered his eyes when she won, not disappointed, but calm, tender. "Your words were true," she whispered, her voice shaky. And suddenly it all clicked. Cole hadn't just lost, he had let her win. She found him in the penthouse and standing at the window, looking out at the New York skyline. City lights danced across his sharp features. He turned when he heard her footsteps, his expression unreadable. "Chen," he said quietly, "it's late. What are you doing here?" Ivy held up the proposal in her trembling hand, her voice tight with a mix of fury and heartbreak. "What is this, Maddox?" She shook the document. "Why didn't you send it? This would have won Horizon. Why did you give it up? Why did you let me win?" Cole looked at her, a flicker of emotion crossing his face before his expression settled. He took a slow step toward her, hands in his pockets. "You went through my office," he said. "Should I be impressed or worried?" "Don't joke," Ivy snapped, her voice rising. "Answer me. I thought I won because I earned it. I thought Verve and Vibe beat you, but all this time you just handed it to me? You think I needed your pity?" Cole stopped, his eyes hardening. "Pity?" he echoed, his voice dangerously quiet. "You think I gave up a $20 million deal out of pity?" He took another step. "You're talented, Ivy. Verve and Vibe is incredible, but you needed Horizon to survive, to grow. Pulse Engine can afford to lose once and stay standing." Ivy shook her head, tears welling. "That's not the reason, Maddox. Don't lie." You said you liked me since Stanford. You said you fought for the building because of me. And now you're telling me you threw Horizon away? For me? What are you afraid of? Cole looked at her, his voice raw. I did fight for the building because it kept me close to you. If I won Horizon, you would have moved out. And Verve and Vibe, it's your world, Ivy. I couldn't take that from you. I couldn't bear to see you fall apart. He hesitated, emotion flickering behind his steady gaze. I didn't want to lose you again. Ivy's heart cracked open. Tears streamed down her cheeks, anger and gratitude warring inside her. You're not being fair, she whispered. I gave everything to Horizon. I poured my heart into it. I thought I earned it. But now it feels like it was never mine to begin with. Cole reached for her, but she stepped back. It wasn't a game, he said quietly. I believe in you. I believe Verve and Vibe deserved Horizon. I just helped a little to make sure you had your moment. Ivy wiped her tears, but the pain didn't stop. She turned and ran from the penthouse, the proposal slipping from her hands and scattering on the floor. She bolted down the stairs and out into the freezing Manhattan night, the cold wind slapping her face. She didn't know if she wanted to thank Cole or hate him. He had sacrificed for her, but in doing so, he'd taken away the one thing she needed most: validation. What did her victory mean if it wasn't truly hers? That night, Ivy stayed at the Verve and Vibe office, avoiding Cole completely. She opened X and saw new posts under hashtag rival CEOs. Ivy Chen turns down Spark Vibe after tense dinner. Because of Cole Maddox? She shut off her phone, feeling like she was drowning in a storm she couldn't escape. Lynn walked in, worry etched across her face. Boss, people are asking about Maddox. They say he hasn't commented since the Horizon deal. Is something going on? Ivy forced a smile, her voice thin. It's nothing, Lynn. Just drama. But inside, she knew it wasn't just drama. Cole had kissed her, had confessed to liking her since Stanford, had handed her the most important win of her life. And now she didn't know how to face him. Or worse, how to face her own heart. Ivy Chen stood on stage in the Central Hall of New York City, the spotlight pouring over her like the whole world was watching. The Tech Trends Summit was one of the biggest arenas for startups, and Verve and Vibe had been invited as the keynote speaker thanks to their Horizon victory. In a deep blue bodycon dress, Ivy held the microphone, her voice steady with confidence, though a hint of nervousness still trembled underneath. She had been avoiding Cole Maddox for a week after discovering the Horizon proposal draft in his office, after fleeing his penthouse with a heart in turmoil. But now, standing before hundreds of investors, she knew she couldn't keep running not just from Cole, but from her own emotions. When I started Verve and Vibe, Ivy said, her gaze sweeping across the audience, I only had a dream and 5 employees. We faced giants, doubts, and even rumors. She paused, thinking of the hashtag rival CEOs still trending on X, with comments like Ivy Chen won because Cole Maddox let her, or was it drama or a real win? But today, I'm here to say that winning isn't just about contracts. It's about trust in your team, in yourself, and sometimes in someone you once thought was your rival. She took a deep breath, her eyes unintentionally dropping to the audience, and then she froze. Cole Maddox was sitting there, third row, dressed in a simple black suit, his gaze locked onto her. He clearly hadn't known she would be the speaker. She could see that in the flicker of surprise on his face. But his eyes, gentle and unwavering, were the same as they had been in the elevator, when he kissed her and whispered, "Don't lie to your heart." Ivy's heart pounded, but she pressed on. I used to think a promise made while drunk didn't mean anything, she said, her voice slowing as if speaking only to one person in the room. Like something said at a party, when the alcohol makes you say crazy things. But now I believe if someone chooses you when they're drunk, they'll never leave you when they're sober. Applause erupted, but Ivy didn't hear it. All she saw was Cole, his eyes shining with a strange emotion, as if he was fighting a smile. She took a deep breath, pulled a small black velvet box from her blazer pocket, and stepped off the stage. The crowd went silent, curious. Ivy walked straight toward Cole, her heart racing, but her steps firm. She stopped in front of him, opened the box, revealing a neatly folded piece of paper, a handwritten marriage contract. On it was a single line, Ivy Chen and Cole Maddox. A promise that doesn't need alcohol. Cole looked at her, eyes flickering between shock and something deeper. Ivy, he whispered hoarsely. The audience began to murmur, some raising phones to record. Ivy felt her cheeks burn, but she didn't back down. I ran from you, Maddox, she said, her voice soft but clear, just enough for him to hear. I was angry that you gave up Horizon, because I wanted to win fair and square. But I was also moved, because you chose me, even when I didn't believe in you. She paused, tears glinting in her eyes. So this is my answer. If you still want to keep that promise, I want to try too. Cole stood, eyes never leaving hers. He took the box, his fingers brushing hers, and his smile, no longer arrogant, no longer mysterious, was simply full of joy. You sure about this, Chen? He asked, voice warm and low. Because once I sign, there's no turning back. Ivy smiled, shy, but confident. I'm a CEO, Maddox. I know what I'm signing. Laughter rippled through the audience, and a few people applauded, turning this personal moment into a spontaneous show. That night in the penthouse, Ivy sat on the sofa. The bouquet of lavender still sat on the table, now next to the marriage contract. Cole was beside her, holding a cup of coffee, his eyes sparkling as he looked at her. You really caught me off guard, Chen, he said, his tone teasing. A marriage contract on stage? You sure know how to create drama? Ivy looked up at him, her eyes glowing under the soft penthouse lighting, the golden hues of New York City streaming through the window, wrapping them in warmth. I learned from the best, she whispered, her fingers gliding across his chest, her tone teasing yet trembling with emotion. Cole's gaze darkened, the fire in his deep blue eyes flaring. Because I love you, he said huskily, pulling her closer. Then he leaned in, claiming her lips in a kiss that was wild and fiery, like a storm, his mouth pressed against hers with urgency, his tongue sliding across her lips, sending electric shocks down her spine. She kissed back, her arms tightening around his shoulders, nails lightly raking through his shirt as if trying to pull him closer, deeper. Cole let out a low groan from deep in his throat and pushed her gently onto the couch, his body pressing against hers, no space left between them. You're the greatest win of my life, Ivy, he murmured, voice trembling with desire, his lips trailing down her neck, grazing her sensitive skin, leaving faint red marks. Ivy shuddered, head tilting back, breath ragged as she felt the heat of his body, the deliberate touch of his hands. She tugged at his shirt, buttons flying, revealing a sculpted chest. You're not so bad yourself, Maddox, she whispered, voice shaking, but eyes gleaming with challenge. She pushed him back onto the sofa, straddling him, her dark hair falling like a curtain over her shoulders. Cole grabbed her hips, hands firm yet tender, pulling her closer, and their mouths met again, deeper, wilder. Their tongues tangled, each touch igniting something primal, as if they were shedding all the tension, all the rivalry that once stood between them. Ivy slipped off her top, her skin glowing under the city lights, and Cole drank her in with hungry eyes. Damn, Ivy, he muttered, his hands tracing up her waist, slow and reverent, as if committing every inch of her to memory. He pulled her down, flipping her beneath him, his body covering hers, his breath hot against her ear. I've wanted you for so long, he whispered, voice rough, teeth grazing her earlobe, making her moan and arch into him instinctively. They moved in a rhythm of their own, clothes scattering across the floor, bodies entangled in a dance of desire. Cole's lips worshipped her chest, slow but possessive, making Ivy tremble, her fingers digging into his back, leaving marks. She pulled him up, her mouth finding his neck, biting lightly in retaliation, making him hiss, a wild spark flashing in his eyes. Careful, Chen, he growled, but the smile on his lips was full of love. You're playing with fire. Then let me burn you, Ivy replied, her voice husky as she lifted her hips against him, drawing a moan from them both. They fused, their movements quickening, intensifying, as if tearing down every wall between them, rivals, CEOs, doubts. Every touch, every kiss, every motion was a declaration that they belonged to each other not just in this penthouse, but for life. As their breaths slowed, Ivy lay in Cole's arms, sweat shimmering on her skin, her heart still pounding. She looked up and gave a faint smile. "But if you burn the kitchen again, I'm kicking you off the team," she whispered, voice shaking with emotion, eyes gleaming. Cole laughed, the sound deep and warm, echoing in the open penthouse. "Deal, wifey," he said, pulling her into a soft, tender kiss, a promise that they were finally, fully one. You're watching Soul Stories exclusive to our channel. If you're still with us, drop a comment we read and cherish them all. Subscribe to support more heartfelt, original stories. Thanks for being part of the Soul Stories family. Spring sunlight poured into the penthouse atop the Hudson building, where the imaginary walls that once split the space in two had long since disappeared. Ivy Chen Maddox stood by the large window, gazing out at the New York skyline. The simple yet elegant wedding dress she wore during yesterday's small ceremony still hung in the corner, a quiet reminder of the moment she and Cole Maddox officially became one. The media dubbed them the power couple of the year, with posts on X flooded with the hashtag #rival CEOs. From rivals to soulmates, the love story shaking up the startup world. But for Ivy, it wasn't about the spotlight, it was about the man standing in the kitchen, making coffee for her. "What are you smiling at, Chen?" Cole asked, glancing back with his signature half-smile. He was wearing a white button-up, sleeves rolled up, and his dark brown hair was slightly tousled from sleep. "I'm trying to be the perfect husband over here." Ivy chuckled, stepping over and leaning on the counter. "Perfect? You nearly burned down the kitchen last time. I still haven't forgiven you for that, Maddox." She winked, but her gaze softened when it met his. A year ago, she never imagined she'd be standing here, sharing the same space with Cole, not fighting over meeting rooms or parking spots. But now, everything had changed. Cole placed the coffee in front of her, the familiar aroma bringing a smile to her lips. "You know," he said in that warm voice of his, "I used to think fighting over that building was the craziest decision I ever made, but turns out it was the best one." Ivy took a sip, peeking at him over the rim of the cup. "Best? You drove me insane, Maddox, competing over every square inch, then giving up Horizon, and then—" She paused, remembering the kiss in the elevator, the handwritten marriage contract she handed him on the Tech Trend Summit stage. "Then making me fall in love with you." Cole leaned in, his eyes gleaming. "So you admit it, Chen. I won that round." He grinned, but the look in his eyes was pure affection. None of the arrogance from before remained. Later that morning, Ivy and Cole appeared together at a joint meeting between Verve and Vibe and Pulse Engine. After the wedding, they had agreed to collaborate on a new digital ad campaign combining Pulse Engine's AI tech with Verve and Vibe's creative flair. At first, both teams were cautious, but as Ivy presented the strategy, Cole chiming in with technical insights, the room filled with energy. Lynn, one of Ivy's designers, whispered to a teammate, "I still can't believe they used to be rivals. Look at them now." But not everything went smoothly. Rumors on X continued to swirl, with some posts questioning whether the partnership was just a PR stunt. One former Verve and Vibe client even emailed Ivy, "You married Maddox just to merge the companies, didn't you?" Reading it, Ivy shook her head and laughed. "They don't get it," she told Cole that evening as they returned to the penthouse. Cole pulled her into his arms, letting her rest against his shoulder. "They don't need to," he said, voice low. "We know the truth, and I don't care about the drama on X. I only care about you." Ivy looked up at him, her eyes shining in the soft penthouse lights. "We don't have to compete over who's hotter anymore, right?" she whispered, her finger trailing lightly down his chest, her tone teasing but full of warmth. "No more boardrooms, no more parking spaces, no more coffee wars." Cole stared back, his gaze darkening, as if a fire that had smoldered for years was finally flaring up again. "Because now," he murmured, "we're a team, Chen." That night, Ivy and Cole lay side by side, the glow of the city seeping through the windows, wrapping them in a soft golden haze. A new notification lit up on Ivy's phone. CEO couple Ivy Chen and Cole Maddox unveil their first joint project. Rival CEOs are now power couple. She smiled, turned off the phone, and nestled into Cole's chest. For the first time, she didn't care what the world had to say. Because here, in this penthouse, she had found a victory greater than any deal a man who once was her rival, now her entire world.